Plane Project is a non-profit that I started a few years ago. Initially started as an initiative to spread hope and as a platform to promote aviation and promote careers in STEM. And I used to go to schools and talk about flying and talk about my passion of flying. And we've since pivoted, and last year when COVID hit, we decided that we should do more. We had access to planes, and we just partnered with organizations and started flying medical supplies and essential supplies to areas in isolated, remote parts of South Africa. So we've flown to 8 provinces across South Africa. We've flown to clinics that have such little resources. It's really, been such an eye-opener being to the most remote parts of South Africa and seeing how little people have to work with and how they just make it work. A few places that have stood out is clinics in the Northwest province that we've gone to, and they had to make makeshift COVID testing sites right at the beginning of the pandemic, and people were on the front lines and just willing to help and willing to lend a hand and putting their lives literally on the line for their neighbours. We work with organizations who sponsor medical supplies. We've worked with Gift to the Givers, we've worked with church relief organizations. We've worked with a bunch of private companies who have sponsored flights, they've sponsored medical supplies, and we just then find the areas that are in need. We find the clinics that have little resources or are struggling. We kind of keep our ear on the ground always as to where the need is the most at that time, and we try and source supplies. Then we go back and create a flight plan and then take the supplies to the areas that need it. I grew up in Grahamstown. Closest airport where we could fly commercially from was PE, so I wasn't exposed to the industry. I hadn't met a pilot until I was in matric, so I was 18 years old, and I was going to go into law the following year. And I always knew that I wanted to go into human rights law or do something along those lines. And I met a pilot and he told me about what he does. I then went to a flight school and I did an introductory flight. And as soon as the wheels kind of lifted off, I knew that is where I wanted to be. And the bug bit, and I started my pilot training the next year, and then was working in the industry. And last year decided I was going to do more, and I already had this platform which was the Plane Project, and I always wanted to do more with whichever skill I chose to develop after school. I knew that I wanted to use it to help people and to make a difference, and to pay it forward. And that is why we decided to pivot and expand and do more, and really get places who need supplies the most and essential supplies, and get it to them.